Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Samich Vov Amud Aleph at the new Gemara, 10 lines from the top. The Mishnah had stated that everybody agrees, of course, that a shchita of Korban Pesach can be doiches HaShabbos, and therefore when Yudalid B'Nisan comes out to me on Shabbos, we still perform the Korban Pesach. The Gemara now brings the source for this. Tonu Rabbanon Halacha zunis almo mi bnei Beseira. The Bnei Beseira, who are the Nisim, they did not know whether the Korban Pesach is doiches HaShabbos. Pam achas chal arbo sar liyois b'Shabbos shachachu v'lo yodu im Pesach doiches HaShabbos im lav. They were non-aware of the halacha. Now that it's Yud Daled B'Nisan, do we shech the Korban Pesach on Shabbos or not? Amru, they said, Klum yesh odem sheyodeh im Pesach doiches HaShabbos im lav. Is there anybody who knows this halacha, whether the Korban Pesach is doiches HaShabbos? Amru lahem, they told the Bnei Beseira, Adam echod yesh sha'ola mi Bavel. There was a man who came up from Bavel here to Eretz Yisrael. V'Hillel habavli shmoi, and his name is Hillel the Babylonian. Sheshimesh shnei gedolei hador Shmai v'Avtalion, who was Meshamesh Shmai and Avtalion, who were the Av, Bezdin, and the Nasi of the previous generation. V'yodeya im Pesach doiches HaShabbos in lav, and he would know the answer to this question. Sholchu v'karu loy. They sent for him to then bring him and then tell the halacha. Amru loy. They said to him, Klum ata yodei im haPesach doiches HaShabbos im lav. Do you know whether the Korban Pesach is doiches HaShabbos or not? Amar lehem. Hillel HaZaken said to them, V'chi Pesach echod yesh lonu b'shana shedoiches HaShabbos v'halo harbe yoisem imosayim Psachim yesh lonu b'shana shedoiches HaShabbos. Hillel HaZaken says there are many korbanos that are brought on Shabbos. He calls them Psachim, but it's lav dafka, it's Korban Pesach. He's talking about these type of animals that are brought on the Mizbeach on Shabbos that are doiches HaShabbos. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi, Dibra Maschil, V'chi Pesach, echod yesh lonu shedoiches HaShabbos. V'halo yoisem imosayim Psachim yesh lonu shedoiches HaShabbos. There are more than 200 Psachim. Again, lav dafka, Korban Pesach. He means to say other korbanos that are doiches HaShabbos. Kloimar, that's what Rashi is. Kloimar, it's not Korban Pesach. Yoisem ibasayim korbanos yesh doichin Shabbos b'shana. There are more than 200, well over 200 korbanos that are doiches HaShabbos. Chamishim Shabbos b'shana. Rashi makes the cheshbon. There are 50 Shabbosos during the year. Bekol Shabbos v'Shabbos arbo kivosim shnayim letamidim v'shnayim lemusafim. We have a korban tamishal shachar, korban tamishal bein ha'arboyim, and the Musafin. There are 4 korbanos every single Shabbos. So 4 times 50 is already 200 korbanos that are doiches HaShabbos. Harei Masayim. Leva, that's not including Shabbos, shebetoich Pesach, betoich Chachag, shekrivin bohen musve hayoim, which we bring korban Musafin, both on the Yontif of Sukkis and the Yontif of Pesach. Shivas Tloyim bePesach v'arbo asar l'chag. So we have many korbanos that are doiches HaShabbos. So therefore, Korban Pesach is amongst them. Amru loy minayin lecha. But how do you know? Maybe Korban Pesach is different. Omar lehem. He brings them the following limud. Nemar states, moyadoi ba'Pesach, v'nemar moyadoi b'tamid. It states the word moyado in its time, both in regards to Pesach and in regards to the Korban Oila, Korban Tamid. Ma moyado hamor b'tamid doiches HaShabbos, af moyado hamor b'Pesach doiches HaShabbos. The same way that the Korban Tamid, which says moyado is doiches HaShabbos, we learn from a Gezeira Shava that the word moyado teaches that a Korban Pesach is also doiches HaShabbos. Ve'oid, and Hillel HaZaken adds a kal v'chomer. Ve'oid kal v'chomer hu umat tamid she'ein anush koris doiches HaShabbos. Pesach she'anush koris eino doiches HaShabbos, eino din she'doiches HaShabbos. Not only, he says, when it comes to then the Korban Tamid, which is doiches HaShabbos, there it doesn't have an anush koris, but the mitzvah of Korban Pesach does carry with it a chiyuv koris. If a person is mevatil a carbon Pesach, he's chayev kares. So then certainly if a carbon Tamid, which is Doiches Shabbos, doesn't have with it the chiyuv of kares, then kal v'chomer, the carbon of carbon Pesach is Doiches Shabbos, which does carry with it a chiyuv kares. Miyad, says the Gemara, Hoshivu b'roish uminu nasi alehem. The Bnei Beseira, who were Nisim until then, they appointed now Hillel to be the Roish, to be the Nasi, since the Nasi has to be the one who is the biggest Chacham of the generation. V'haya doresh kol hayam kuloi b'hilchos haPesach, and which was common amongst the Nisim. Then Hillel started being darshaning. He sat down and darshaned the Hilchos Pesach throughout the day. Hitchel mikantron bidvorim. He started to then vex the Bnei Beseira. Omar lehen, and he said to them, Mi goram she'ol ela b'movil ve'yeh nasi aleichem. What caused that I should then come up, specifically during this time, the Hashkacha had it, that I should come up from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, right now on Erev Pesach, and then it comes out to be then the Yudalit is on Shabbos. What had it so that I came out specifically now, and that I should then become the Nasi? He explains, Atzlus shahaisa bochem, shaloshimashtem shnei gedolei hador shmai va'avtalion. He wanted to give them toichacha, rebuke. And he said, because you were lazy in the fact that you weren't then enough careful to learn these halachos, and you weren't meshamish, the gedolei hador shmai va'avtalion. Amru loi, Ben Beseir then asked Hillel the following question. Rebbe, shochach v'lo hevi sakim be'erev Shabbos, mahu. If they forgot, a person forgot to bring a knife to then shech the carbon Pesach before Shabbos, and now it's Shabbos, what can he do? Shall he go ahead and bring the knife or not? Can he bring it from the Rishus HaRabim into the Beis HaMikdash? Omer Luhen, halacha zu shamati v'shachachti. Hillel says, I heard the halacha, but I forgot. Because after all, since it's something he could have done before Shabbos, so I don't remember whether he can then do this now on Shabbos, if it's doiche. Elo, hanach lohen li Yisrael. But leave Yisrael, says Hillel to the Bnei Beseira, im ein nevi'in hein, b'nei nevi'in hein. Because if they are themselves not nevi'im, then they are the children of nevi'im. And therefore you'll see from their hanhaga what indeed is the halacha. L'machar mi sheposchoi tle toichvoi b'tzamroi. He said the next day, those who had a korban Pesach that was with a tle, with a keves, so then that lamb, they took the knife and they put it inside the hair, inside the hair, the tzemer, the wool of the keves. Misha poschoi shepischoi gedi toichvoi ben karnov. Those who forgot a knife and they wanted to then bring the knife in the Beis HaMikdash, they put the knife of the gedi not in the hair, because it's not the same type of wool that the sheep has, which will then hold the knife, but they had to put it between the karnaim, the horns of the gedi. Ra maise v'nizkar halacha. When Hillel saw that the next day, that this is how they then brought the knife on Shabbos, then he remembered the halacha. V'amar said, Kach mekublani mipi shmai va'avtalin. Indeed, this is what I received. This is the halacha that Shmai va'avtalin taught. The Gemara goes on to say, Omar Mar, then bringing back the statement that we said before, when Hillel Zaken proved to the Bnei Beseira that you can go ahead and bring a Korban Pesach and it's Doiches HaShabbos. Nemar moyadoi ba'Pesach v'nemar moyadoi b'Tomi. He brought first, it says over there that he brought a Gezerah Shova. Ma moyadoi ha'amur b'Tomid Doiches HaShabbos. Af moyadoi ha'amur b'Pesach Doiches HaShabbos. The same way that the Korban Tomid is Doiches HaShabbos, because it says Mo'adoi, so too, the Korban Pesach, which says Mo'adoi, is also Doiches HaShabbos, from the Gezerah Shova. V'Tomid Gufe Minolon, the Doiches Shabbos. And the Tomid itself, where do we know that that is Doiches HaShabbos? Ile Mishum Diksi Bebe Mo'adoi. If you're going to say because of the word B'Mo'adoi in its appointed time, then but Pesach nami hoksi b'moyado. Then Pesach, you wouldn't need to come on to a limud from Tamid, because Pesach itself says moyadoi, it's appointed time. So it cannot be that that's where we know that a korban tamid is brought on Shabbos, because it says moyadoi. Elo moyadoi lo mashmale. The word moyadoi is not enough to then teach us that it's doiches HaShabbos. Hochanami moyadoi lo mashmale. Such same way that it's not doiches HaShabbos, it's not enough to teach me by Pesach, it's not enough to teach me by Tamid, and vice versa. Elo makro, rather it's the post that says oilas Shabbos b'Shabbatoi al oilas hatamid michlal. The Tamid karva b'Shabbos. From this pasuk oilas Shabbos b'Shabbatoi al oilas hatamid, that itself teaches me that it's doiche es HaShabbos. Omar Mar, the Gemara now brings back the previous statement that Hillel brings a kal v'chomer, proving that the Korban Pesach is doiches HaShabbos as follows: V'oid kal v'chomer umat tamid she'ein anush kores doiches HaShabbos Pesach she'anush kores ein odin she'doiches HaShabbos. He brings the kal v'chomer that when it comes to the Korban Tamid, which doesn't carry with it a punishment of kores, is doiches HaShabbos. Korban Pesach, which does carry with it a chiyuv of kores, a person is mevatel the Korban Pesach, certainly will then be doiches HaShabbos. The Gemara says, but ika lemifrach, you can ask on this kal v'chomer, ma letami shekein todeh v'kolyu. In other words, a korban tamid has two things that are unique to it. First of all, it's a korban oila. The whole thing goes up. Second of all, it's always brought day after day, continuously. Tamid shachar and tamid shel bein ha'arbaim, without cessation. And therefore, you can't learn out from a korban tamid. So says the Gemara, Omar luhu bereisha pirchua v'hodar amar lu gzeir shava enochanami. That's why when he said this kal v'chomer, they asked this pircha on the kal v'chomer, and then he brought the gezeir shava. Not like we had it in our order, where the Gemara states that it was a gezeir shava, and then he brought a kal v'chomer, but rather the Gemara explains it was really in the reverse order. He first brought the kal v'chomer, and then he brought the gezeir shava after they asked on the kal v'chomer. V'chi me'achad the Gemara gezeir shava asked the Gemara, kal v'chomer lamali. Once he brings a gezeir shava, why doesn't he need to bring a kal v'chomer if he knew a gezeir shava in the onset? So that itself is foolproof, and therefore it's not possible to then ask on a gezeir shava. So why didn't he first just bring the gezeir shava? Take a look at Rashi. Dibra Masra v'chi me'acher de gomer me'raboisov gezeir shava zu lekach ba. Since he had a gezeir shava that's from his raboisov, he had a mesara. So then, why didn't he have to bring then the kal v'chomer afterwards? The kaimelon, says Rashi, ein odam dion gezeir shava me'atzma. A person cannot bring a gezeir shava on his own. It has to be a mesara from his rabbonim. Elo in kain nisgabla ubob misinai. The dilma kara lemilsa achriti also, because maybe the pasuk is coming to say something else, and you can't use the word to then bring a gezeir shava on your own. V'kivan dehu kach kibel. But now that Hillel did have a Mesara, so then why did he just bring the Gezeir Shava? Because when you bring the Gezeir Shava, it's like now, it's foolproof. It's like Gezeir Sakosuf. Whereas a Kal Vachomer is merely a Svara. And therefore you can ask on the Kal Vachomer. So the Gemara is asking, why did he not just go straight to the Gezeir Shava? Says the Gemara, but he was just really saying to them, because he understood that they may not have had the Mesar of the Gezeir Shava, so then he was going to bring a Kal V'chomer with logic. Granted that they might have not had the Mesar to learn the Gezeir Shava, be'ein adam dan Gezeir Shava me'atzmoy, ele Kal V'chomer, the adam dan me'atzmoy, on that they should have learned, and therefore Hillel turned to them with the kal v'chomer at first. Omrulei, they said to him, kal v'chomer prichu, the kal v'chomer has a pircha, because after all, the korban tamid, first of all, is a korban oila. The whole thing goes up, and second of all, it's tamid. It's constantly being brought. It's brought day and night, day in the shachar and in the bein arbaim. So it's brought every single day, a continuous korban. So therefore, you cannot prove from the fact that korban tamid is doiches HaShabbos, that a korban Pesach is doiches HaShabbos. To which Hillel Zaken then had to bring the Masara that he had from his Rabbi Yosef, that there's a Gezeira Shava teaching me that Moyadoi and Moyado, Gezeira Shava, that just as the korban tamid is doiches HaShabbos, the korban Pesach is also doiches HaShabbos.